So my name is Narciso Meneces Elizalde. I'm originally from Mexico, a small town. Totoapa is the name. It's in the Nahuatl language. It means place of birds. Um, it's a beautiful small little town. And I've been living in Cedar Rapids, working and living in the Cedar Rapids, Iowa City area for the last almost 20 years. Uh, it's been quite a ride. I started working on sculpture work since I was a little kid. Actually, I was like 5 years old maybe when I started to go to kindergarten. They would give us materials for entertaining the kids, and one of them was plastiline, just similar to polymer clay, but it stays soft. And yeah, from then on and off, been working on and off. Sometimes time periods of years go by and I don't do anything. Been trying to be better about that. More work has been done recently in the past few years than in the past like 10 years. Thankfully, it's been a more productive time. And the switch to polymer clay was kind of like natural for me since I had that kind of experience with plastiline. And I think what besides the easiness to work with it, besides the how forgiving of a material it is, and the process to get it in a quote unquote done state is so easy to work with in general. The colorfulness of it, as you can see, the colors are very vibrant on it. So that kind of is one of the things that makes me gravitate the most to this material. This color vibrancy of colors. It's a weird question, like the heritage question for me. I feel like because a lot of the times people claim heritage, but like it's like like anybody can claim heritage. Like pretty much most people in Mexico have like indigenous blood in them. I do too, and like but we didn't grow up with like the traditions. We didn't grow up with like knowing this just like in a traditional setting, speaking a specific language, being part of a specific nation, a specific culture. Unfortunately, some areas, some different towns where I'm from are like that, but not where I'm from, not the specific town I am from. But this is the reason why I include traditional imagery in my work, and it's like the main part of my work, is because I feel like this intense like draw towards it. Like it just kind of speaks to me at such a level that I cannot do anything other than learn about it and reflect that on the work itself. It's kind of like there's a very accentuated drive that I feel to communicate these ideas to people. Traditional, indigenous, old ways. The anthropologists I read the work of normally call them that. The old ways, costumbres. They're normally known as costumbres, which means the old ways or the old customs. And it's interesting. When I was younger, I used to have this idea of the traditions being this kind of burden you have to carry with you, and like, it's this kind of thing that has to be maintained, non-changing. But now that I like have learned more in depth what they are, they're like specific ways of action and interaction within yourself as a person, within the community, with the environment. It's like an integrative, holistic kind of way of life. They're like also modalities of that's how the anthropologists talk about them. The modalities of cognition and of operation in the world. It seems to me like living this way, where people are not only thinking about like what the environment, what's happening with the environment, and how you're interacting with it, how you're getting resources from the land, how you're acting towards people, all these things. It seems to be a more correct way to be a human than just kind of like cruising by. And I don't know, the way that Western culture kind of interacts with the environment is very predatory, very focused in monetary gain and all these things that now are talked about a lot with environmental change and degradation. And these ways of these traditional ways of living, of being human in the world, seem to be good alternatives to maybe not completely change how everything is done, but to drastically modify it to not destroy, not be so destructive in general, I guess, towards the environment, towards oneself, towards other people. One thing that is done a lot in Western culture is objectify things for gain, for monetary gain. Even people are objectified too. And yeah, it's all in the name of money, of power, of these things. But my experience with traditional cultures in Mexico, and as it is reflected on other parts of the world, there is more an emphasis on existing in a good way, you could say. Just living properly, being respectful and grateful of things, of the world, where everything is personified. That's why they call the societies a lot of times animistic, because they are talked about in the literature sometimes as like infusing spirit, or thinking that things have life or they have spirit. But it's more like a condition of being alive to the world. It's kind of like a state of being where you are more sensitive of everything, where like you're considering everything a person, basically, and so everything is worthy of respect, just as any person would be. And so even if it's not something that we can say it's objectively true in the scientific kind of understanding way, we don't have to. Like it's just a mindset that you exist in, where you're more respectful and mindful of everything. So I actually don't focus too much on creating or on trying to create something like new. I guess that my work practice derives from what I've seen traditional cultures do in Mexico, where they base their works, I mean, it's hardly sometimes correct to even call them artworks. They're creations that are done for ritual purposes a lot of the times. But basically, you kind of just give new life to these old ideas, and that's kind of goes in hand with what keeping the traditions is about, because there are these old ways of doing things that have demonstrated their efficacy throughout long periods of time, where some of those things are not as always as necessary to keep. So people are changing them all the time. There are like some of the old ways they just change with the times too. So people go to universities in traditional towns, even they learn I don't know, they become scientists even. It's not unheard of that like people can integrate Western culture into their culture too. But even then, some of the core ideals are like maintained. It depends on the culture, on the person keeping the knowledge. There's like knowledge keepers who are like kind of driving that process. They're like, this is important, this has to be maintained, so we keep it. And some of those things have been going on for thousands of years, where people just maintain those traditions because they are still effective. And in a similar way, some of these images, some of the ideas that I also bring here with the sculptures, I feel like I'm doing some of a similar work where I'm like trying to learn the old ways, the meanings behind these ideas, the philosophy, all of these things, and just kind of bringing forth what I would like others to see also, and like just being able to communicate this to other people and have them be inspired by these ideas. Um, and also just to celebrate traditional culture. I think that's one of the most important parts that I shouldn't be taking so much credit for my work, because it is a lot of it is very much based in traditional these traditional ideas of indigenous peoples, and they have enriched me so much that I wanna like I cannot help but just to do this to, you know, show other people so that they might be enriched and that they might also appreciate and celebrate these cultures, these ideas that are, like I mentioned earlier, they are now more relevant than ever with our current global condition. Yeah, so this colorfulness, this you know, vibrancy of colors, this kind of like revitalization of life is kind of what I'm going for. There is this idea in traditional culture of like a constant cycle of like, you know, death, rebirth, um, where in any case, at the end of the day, life always emerges from the earth. The earth is, even though there's death, that death eventually generates more life, and life continues. Yeah, being part of the Latinx festival was fantastic. I loved it so much. I had not been to the Buke much, just passed by the Buke, not driven by, and I never really been here before. So just learning about DAAC and the work that is done here, and yeah, it's been so gratifying. It's been revitalizing for me as a person, as an artist, to be connect with you guys, and you know, just to see what everybody else is doing here. Yeah, I mean, like I've been discussing, you know, this heritage of traditional heritage that we carry as immigrants. You know, we sometimes we keep that very dear to our heart, sometimes not, but it's always good to come together and celebrate life, basically. You know, it's at the end of the day, we're celebrating Latinx heritage with the festival that happened, but at the end of the day, it's a celebration of life, of being here, and saying thanks with the celebration to the powers that be, I guess. So yeah, no, I am more than grateful to have met you guys and to have been part of the exhibition, and it's just been like a fountain of love that just, like, you know, flows. Yeah.
Very happy to have you be a part of it.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you, guys.
Is there any other concepts, ideas, or anything you'd like to share in addition to what you've already shared?
I'm not so sure, actually. I don't know. I just hope that, you know, we can continue to work together, and I just want to be more involved with the arts, with how vibrant the arts are here in town. It just makes you want to like be involved and do more work even. Yeah.